My wallet was in your bag, you thief.
My SIL, Susan shouted at me, rummaging through her bag with a glare. This happened during a dinner party at my fiancé's family home, celebrating the setting of our wedding date. Among the attendees, including both our families, was Susan, whom I find difficult to deal with. Ever since a greeting visit to announce our engagement, she had taken a particular interest in me. Since then, she frequently invited me to meals, often saying, "I'm a bit short on cash today, can you cover for me?" Or "I forgot my wallet, lend me some money," without ever paying for her meals. Moreover, she hasn't paid me back for any of the money I covered for her. Initially, I wanted to get along with her, but my distrust grew day by day, and I've been avoiding her as much as possible. Being accused of theft in front of my fiancé and relatives, I was in shock. The wallet she held was indeed hers, but I swear I didn't steal it. Susan, please, calm down.
What? You're going to make excuses now? I'll make sure to demand compensation for this theft.
She ranted, not letting me get a word in. Watching her, I couldn't help but let out a laugh. And soon the rest of the family started laughing too, leaving her dumbfounded.
What's so funny?
She demanded, turning red with anger. I decided to tell her the truth. I can't help but laugh at such an accusation, Susan. My name is Emily. I'm a 28-year-old office worker. I just got engaged to someone I've been dating. My fiancé, David, is a 30-year-old man, my superior at work. David has been supportive since I joined the company, listening sincerely to both work and personal matters, making him a trusted boss from the start. As we spent more time together, we started sharing more about our personal lives, developing mutual affection. Our similar ages and common interests also played a part. After a few years of dating, we decided to announce our engagement to our parents. Visiting my home first, my parents and sister warmly congratulated us. My sister, Sarah, is 7 years my senior. She's already married and has 2 children. She lives nearby and works from home as a translator. She finished her work early today to meet us.
Congratulations, Emily. David, please take good care of my sister,
Sarah said, smiling to David. She has always adored me since we were kids. And I love my wise and kind sister. On our way home, David complimented my sister, making me happy as if it were about me. You have a sister too, right, David? I'm looking forward to meeting her. I said so. David seemed troubled. I'm glad you think so, but my sister can be quite selfish and vain. I'm worried she might trouble you, he admitted reluctantly. It seemed he was hesitant for me to meet her. Nevertheless, I wanted to get along with my future SIL. Little did I know she would become a source of concern for me. When we visited David's family home later, his parents welcomed us warmly.
It's been a while, Emily. Nice of you to come.
His mother, Anna, greeted me in a laid-back tone, and his father, Tom, smiled kindly. Although I had only spoken to David's parents at their doorstep before, our relationship was good. However, this was my first time entering their house, and I was nervous about announcing our marriage and meeting his sister for the first time. It turned out she was not home, which disappointed me but seemed to relieve David. Maybe he really didn't want me to meet his sister. Despite keeping his sister in mind, the conversation with his kind parents went smoothly, and I felt relaxed and enjoyed our time. David's parents were genuinely happy about our marriage, and feeling reassured, we began to leave. As we were putting on our shoes at the entrance, the front door suddenly opened, and a woman walked in, saying, "Hi there." Seeing her, David let out a
Well, David, what? You're leaving already? I just got home. Stick around for a bit.
said the woman blocking the door, appearing to be in her mid-30s, around the same age as my sister. However, she seemed more assertive and was wearing heavier makeup than my sister. I immediately realized this was David's sister, Susan. According to David, she's divorced with no children. Nice to meet you. I'm Emily, and I've been in a relationship with David. We're here to announce our engagement. When I greeted my SIL, all I got back was a nonchalant hum. When I looked at her, she was sizing me up with a judgmental gaze. Then, with a smirk, she asked, "So, Emily, how did you meet David?"
Hey, Susan. This is the first time Emily's meeting you. Don't start with such questions.
David interjected, visibly annoyed. But Susan kept on firing questions at me without paying him any mind, asking about my salary, noting my nice clothes and assuming I must be wealthy, and inquiring if I worked at the same company as David. Well, overwhelmed by her barrage of questions, I was at a loss for words when David stepped in to chide his sister.
Enough already. Can't you see Emily's uncomfortable? We're leaving, so please move aside.
David managed to pull me away from his sister, who glared at him as if he was getting in her way.
What's the big deal? If you guys are getting married, she'll be my SIL, so I thought it'd be nice to chat a bit. Oh, right, Emily, let's exchange contact information,
she said, pulling out her smartphone from her purse. I was hesitant but eventually gave in, wondering if this was really the right decision. "Susan, don't bother Emily too much." Even Anna warned her. Susan seemed bothered and went inside the house. I finally understood why David looked so gloomy when we were talking about Susan before. Unlike her brother, Susan was pushy and didn't listen to others. A complete opposite of my own sister. I was anxious about getting along with her, but still wanted to keep a good relationship with my future family, so I resolved to reply diligently to any messages from her. After we exchanged numbers, Susan started sending me emails frequently. Through our exchanges, we found out we worked close to each other and she invited me to lunch during our work break one day. I agreed, seeing no reason to decline. But when it came time to pay, Susan suddenly exclaimed, "Oh, what's wrong?"
Sorry, Emily, I'm a bit short on cash right now. Could you cover for me and I'll pay you back later?
She asked, without a hint of embarrassment. I was puzzled by her behavior but decided to pay for the lunch, thinking it was just this once. However, on another day, oh dear, I forgot my wallet. "Emily, could you pay for me?" Susan began inviting me to lunch frequently, always finding an excuse to have me pay for her share. And whenever I asked for reimbursement, she'd brush it off saying, "It's not a lot of money for lunch, right? Don't sweat the small stuff," refusing to take me seriously. The cost of a single lunch wasn't much, but as these invitations became more frequent, the financial burden on me grew. Months passed without Susan returning any of the money I'd covered for her, and my distress towards her only intensified. I realized it was best to minimize my interactions with her, and my desire to get along with her faded. Lately, I've been declining her lunch invitations and keeping my replies to her emails to the minimum. However, one day after work, As David and I were leaving the office together, I heard a familiar voice call my name. Turning around, I saw Susan waiting for us. "Look at you two, leaving work together like a happy couple," she said sarcastically, making David frown.
What do you want, Susan?
David asked, to which Susan replied with a bright smile. "Actually, I have plans for dinner with friends today, but I'm a bit short on money. Emily, could you lend me some?" I was frustrated by her audacity, having already lent her money before. "I'm sorry, but I have to decline. You haven't even paid back the money I lent you previously." I firmly refused, only for Susan to become upset, saying, "How cold can you be? We're family, aren't we? It's just a little money between families. Besides, you earn more than me," shamelessly justifying herself. I hadn't mentioned my salary to her, but she must have detected it since I worked at the same company as David. I wanted to argue that I wasn't part of her family yet, but David spoke up before I could, scolding his sister.
Family or not, you shouldn't borrow money like this. Instead of going out for dinner, you should pay back what you owe to Emily. If you can't repay her now, please go home.
David, who do you think you're talking to like that? I'm your sister. Are you really siding with someone else over your own blood?
She switched from calling me family to a stranger, glaring at me as if I was the problem. She even started spouting some nonsensical theory, saying, "You know, in today's world, women need to have their own money too. Do you understand, Emily? Saying you can't lend me money is like admitting you're broke." David seemed too exasperated to even get angry.
What you're saying is complete nonsense. Emily, let's just go. You don't have to take her words seriously.
Without the heart to say anything more to Susan, we decided to pretend she was a stranger and left the scene. People from the office who were leaving kept glancing our way, making us the center of attention.
What? Hey, wait a minute.
Although Susan shouted from behind, we did not look back. After that, I occasionally received messages from her, but I was too busy with wedding preparations to do anything but send non-committal replies. Of course, I declined any invitations to meals, and since the incident of being ambushed in front of the company, I haven't met her. Amidst all this, the wedding date was successfully set, and a dinner party with both families was arranged. At my in-laws' house, David and I arrived at his family home shortly before my parents and sister. Susan was there too, but she surprisingly kept quiet and behaved herself, which felt eerie amidst the lavish dinner and celebratory mood. The dinner ended on a pleasant note, with everyone enjoying light-hearted conversations. When suddenly, after returning from the restroom, Susan started screaming, "What? It's gone! Where's my wallet?" Claiming the wallet she had put in her bag was missing.
Calm down. Did you leave it in your room by any chance?
Anna tried to soothe her, but it was as if she wasn't listening. "I definitely put it in my bag." "Oh, I see, you stole it," she accused me, grabbing a purse near me and rummaging through it. Then, with a look of surprise, she pulled out a wallet from the purse. Her own wallet that I had seen several times before.
Look, just as I said, my wallet was in your purse.
She exclaimed triumphantly and then started accusing me again.
You stole it while I was in the restroom, didn't you? Pretending to be all innocent and then pulling something like this. I'm totally against someone like you marrying my brother.
Susan, please, calm down.
Planning to make excuses. What you did is theft. I'm going to demand compensation, so be prepared.
She continued, not letting me get a word in. However, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. That's funny. And as I started laughing, my parents and David also burst into laughter, leaving Susan dumbfounded. But then she became red with anger.
What's so funny?
It's laughable, really. You've said white something, Susan.
Huh?
Confused by our reaction, the next to speak was my sister sitting next to me.
That purse isn't Emily's. It's mine.
At that moment, Susan's face froze.
What?
With sweat on her brow, she looked panicked. I then said, "My sister is stealing your wallet? That's impossible, right?" It was clear she had been looking for a chance to cause trouble. I hadn't brought a purse to the dinner, knowing she might pull something. The purse beside me was my sister's, and moreover, my sister couldn't possibly steal anyone's wallet. It was utterly impossible, because my sister has been using a wheelchair due to a condition since childhood, unable to stand or walk on her own. Both my in-laws and Susan had seen her arrive in a wheelchair at the dinner, and knew she hadn't moved from her spot since the dinner started, chatting amicably with our parents and in-laws. Likely, Susan herself had put the wallet in my sister's purse. The real question was when exactly Susan managed to sneak the wallet into the purse without us noticing.
Susan, you came over to greet my parents and me before dinner, right? That time, you were sitting in such a way that my purse was hidden behind you. I felt something off about your actions then. Did you put the wallet in at that moment?
My sister's calm observation clarified my suspicion. Unable to answer immediately, Susan looked around nervously, practically admitting guilt. Cornered with no way out, she groaned back. Then, in a composed tone, my sister continued to reason with her.
I've heard about your character from Emily. Despite being almost the same age as me, resorting to such elaborate harassment is unbecoming of a person. Please don't hurt my dear sister anymore.
Only then did I realize my sister was actually angry. She's usually gentle, but when angry, she becomes quiet and persuasive, which is quite intimidating. After being lectured and unable to retort, Susan was then scolded by my in-laws.
Susan, what are you doing? Accusing Emily of being a thief is beyond embarrassing.
Absolutely disgraceful. We've treated you and David equally. Where did we go wrong? Emily, everyone, we're terribly sorry for our daughter's actions.
Tom apologized to us. However, even seeing her parents apologize, Susan seemed unrepentant. The next moment, she stood up abruptly, glaring at me furiously.
What? You're all making me out to be the villain. I was against your marriage with David from the start. I hoped today would embarrass you into breaking up, but you had to ruin that, didn't you?
She lashed out, leaving us speechless with her audacity. But knowing her true feelings, David was furious. "Don't mess around," he shouted, making her flinch.
How dare you say such things? You've been trying to ruin our relationship. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to lay it all out right now.
What? Wait, what are you going to say?
She tried to stop him, but David, having reached his limit, didn't hold back. He revealed everything. How she never repaid me for the lunches I covered, how she ambushed us for money, and all her misdeeds. David also shared that she had been spreading terrible rumors about me in an attempt to break us up.
You would believe such words. Emily has been hardworking and kind since she joined the company, and I know her better than anyone. Family or not, there are things you just shouldn't say.
David didn't elaborate on the specifics of the rumors, but his anger suggested they were quite severe. Things like that happened. I was shocked, having heard this for the first time. David looked regretful.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to worry you with unnecessary concerns. No matter what she says, I believe in you, Emily.
His sincere words moved me deeply. Wiping away tears, I faced Susan. Susan, I've decided to follow David no matter what. Please take this opportunity to let go of your brother, I said, flustered or perhaps ashamed. She blushed and retorted, "Shut up, just you wait," before storming out of the house. After the storm passed, I felt a sense of relief. No matter what Susan plans, nothing scares me anymore. My love for David has only deepened through this ordeal, and I've resolved to trust and walk with him into the future. A few days later, the lunch money Susan owed me was returned through my in-laws. They had pressured her to prepare the money she owed me. Furthermore, we received a call from her ex-husband at my in-laws' house. It turns out the cause of their divorce was her spending habits, even dipping into living expenses. She had claimed to have paid the alimony she owed to her ex-husband, but it was revealed there was still a significant amount outstanding, and she had been defaulting on payments. Learning this, my in-laws disowned her, tired of her antics. Not only had she committed misdeeds against us, but she had also stolen money from her family before. It turns out that in addition to alimony, Susan had debt from buying luxury brands and frequenting clubs. According to David, she has been heavily into the club scene since her 20s and has often been admonished by my in-laws for it. Ultimately, unable to manage her finances, she even embezzled money from her workplace, which led to her recent dismissal. Days later, I received a call from Susan, who had been kicked out of her family home and lost her job.
I have no one else to turn to but you, Emily. Please, could you lend me some money, just a little?
She begged in tears, but of course, I refused. Isn't it a bit too convenient to ask now? Pay off your alimony and debts with money you earn from a legitimate job. I have no intention of involving myself with you anymore.
But, aren't we family? Let's try to get along from now on.
I did want to get along with you at first, but I don't wish to be family with someone who spends recklessly and doesn't think they've done anything wrong. After I firmly stated my position, she was still ranting about something, but I hung up without paying her any heed. Afterward, it was heard that Susan started living in poverty in a cheap apartment she could afford with her meager savings. However, she was chased by debt collectors and soon had to leave the apartment. It's unclear where she is or how she's living now. David also said he would never get involved with his sister again. A month passed, and we held our wedding without her presence. It was a joyous occasion blessed by many, creating unforgettable memories that I cherish. After the wedding, we moved into our prepared new home and soon discovered I was pregnant. Anticipating the arrival of our child, David and I are enjoying fulfilling days. We hope to continue living happily with our new family member and the days to come.